Yoshi! Did you miss me?
Sonic Mania has multiple save slots and Forces doesn't. Holy shit, I haven't even gotten to the cutscenes and I'm already bitching.
Unnecessarily so, because there are several Sonic games out there that don't have multiple save files. Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic 06, Sonic Unleashed HD, Sonic Colors DS, and both versions of Generation and Lost World. Just because a different Sonic game has multiple save files, and this one doesn't mean that's something bad.
This is a first. I don't think I've ever seen narrating text in a Sonic game. Mostly because we've never needed it.
Everything wrong with Sonic Forces. The game is doing something new, and it fits with the theme of the game.
No kidding. And there's a rumor going around that old rotten Eggman has been developing some kind of new weapon. So...
yeah. Looks like this won't be your garden variety recon mission.
So, who do they work for again? Gun hasn't been a thing for years and they're nowhere to be seen in this game.
According to the Sonic Wiki, Shadow and Rouge are working for the Resistance, and they're being sent out with information from their intelligence division. Would have been nice to see that, but details.
Omega said the same thing. You two go together like chili and hot dogs.
Is that just it? The Sonic characters have no other point of reference for food other than chili dogs?
Chili dogs are Sonic's favorite food, so it'd naturally be a main point of reference for various idioms. Besides, Sonic Unleashed shows that there are other foods out there, so if they wanted to, they could use those other foods as references.
Are we heading into the prequel of a prologue? What the shit?
I know your point is that a prequel story shouldn't go even farther back in time than it already does, but that's not an established rule of storytelling. I get it if it happens several times, but this only happens once.
You know you can hear me. You're captain of Squad Jackal, aren't you? Your squad was useless.
If Eggman already has a bunch of robots, why bother with hiring mercenaries? Build a mercenary, you fool!
Right, because that worked out so well with basically every other robot creation not named Metal Sonic. And even then, Metal still doesn't have a single win under his belt.
So can Shadow just teleport without the Chaos Emerald now?
You're aware he's been able to do this in Sonic Adventure 2, right? And Shadow the Hedgehog, right?
Did Eggman make the mask? It's at his base. If so, why?
Does it really matter who made it? Sure, the mask is a big part of Infinite's character, but who made it definitely isn't. For all we know, Infinite could have made the mask himself, and nothing would change because of it.
Not even Sonic will be able to stand against me now.
What beef does Infinite have with Sonic? He seems to be taking this pretty personally when all Shadow did was beat him up and call him weak. Shadow, not even Sonic.
Infinite is obsessed with being the most powerful being on the planet, and in order to be that, he has to defeat the current most powerful being on the planet, that being Sonic, which he would know about given how vocal Eggman is about his hatred for Sonic.
I mean, sure, A for effort, but it's nothing to worry about. We've got the advantage now. Sonic is there too, so I don't think it's a big enough deal for you to head out.
Not even Sonic will be able to stand against me now.
I can't imagine the Doctor would do something like that without...
Shadow, this is not good. Hurry, get over there.
You just said, no, you literally just said that there was no reason for concern.
That was before Infinite arrived on the scene. Now things have gotten dangerous and Shadow needs to be there.
Sonic, how I hate him. And all of that loathing has been focused into this invincible instrument of destruction.
See, scenes like this lead us to believe that Infinite was a creation of Eggman, but he's just a dude with a gemstone. What's so special about him? That he's angry?
Infinite, at this point in time, has shown to be able to fully control the Phantom Ruby's power, which had previously been inaccessible to Eggman. Also, notice that the camera focuses on the Phantom Ruby, not Infinite. Infinite is still there, but the focus clearly implies that the Ruby is his creation. Plus, Infinite did say earlier that they hadn't tuned the Phantom Ruby's power yet, so this is most likely what they're doing.
Invention, I can expand the Eggman Empire across the globe and conquer the world!
The boss means business this time.
Yeah, we thought so too, Orbot.
You say that like Eggman isn't a major threat in this game. You do realize that he's able to conquer 99% of the entire world in the first 5 minutes of this game, right?
Whoa, this guy is faster than Sonic!
Oh, is he? Everyone's about as fast as Sonic. It's not ludicrous to think someone's faster than him.
That's just patently false.
There are only two people in the Sonic multiverse that can seemingly match Sonic's speed, Shadow and Metal Sonic. And even then, Sonic consistently shows that he can be faster than them. Tails' reaction is entirely warranted, especially given how easily Infinite dodged Sonic's attack.
How are you doing?
Did you seriously just ask how Chaos, a monster with big-ass claws that you know it has, just got your hands in a lock?
That's not what he was asking. He was asking how Infinite is able to keep dodging his attacks. If you look closely, you can even see that Sonic's head is turned in Infinite's direction.
Nice.
Tails? I need to know what's going on with this guy.
What difference does it make? Have Tails help you out with beating the shit out of these guys.
While I do agree that Tails should be doing more, even if he had jumped in, Tails is nowhere near as strong as Sonic. At most, he could keep Chaos at bay, but that would leave Sonic with two characters that have proven to be on par with him, one character that we don't really know how powerful he is compared to the other Sonic characters, and one new character that Sonic can't even touch. Plus, Tails figuring out what makes Infinite work is vital information that could greatly help in beating him. It just so happens that the Phantom Ruby is too complex for his tech to figure out.
Wow, Tails did literally nothing to help Sonic. Hell, Tails didn't really do anything about anything in that scene.
Again, Tails was trying to give Sonic information about Infinite, so he was doing something. Besides, you already made your point about Tails not doing stuff the first time.
So, unless Sonic's around, all of his friends, which we know have the same, if not better, abilities than Sonic, are practically useless?
Okay, no joke, this is one thing that many Sonic fans have brought up, and I have disagreed with literally all of them for one reason. If Sonic's friends have the same, if not better, abilities than Sonic, why do they lose to him? Answer, because Sonic is stronger and faster than literally all of them. He's superior in just about every way. Even Shadow, the supposed ultimate life form, loses to him 4 times out of 5. So let me pose a question. If the best hero amongst them wasn't even able to touch Infinite, how do you think the others are gonna fare?
Without Sonic, the people are losing hope and giving into despair.
Despair is a luxury we don't have.
What the hell is Silver doing here? Isn't he from another dimension or from the future or whatever?
He's here to help Sonic and friends fight against Eggman. I don't want to go into the comics for reasons we'll get into later, but he has a legitimate reason to be here.
We've been hoping for a miracle these past 6 months, but I'm afraid we have to make our own miracle.
Oh, really? So you've been doing fuck all for the past 6 months. How did you ever come to the conclusion that you maybe needed to do something for yourselves for once?
That's not what he's saying. SPO's statement implies that they've been fighting for some time, but gotten nowhere. They've been hoping for a miracle because, up until now, that's all they can do against Infinite's power.
Meet our newest recruit.
Doesn't look like much.
Oh, I am not about to take shit from a 6-year-old bee that doesn't even know what a top-secret disc looks like when they're literally floating all over the stage. Ass.
Well, as humiliating as it sounds, that 6-year-old bee has a lot more common experience than the original of the character. And most likely you. So for once, Charriii can say something like that.
That should have done it.
If Omega's been out of commission for months, why the hell has no one come pick him up yet?
When Omega was taken down by Infinite, he lost all contact with the Resistance. And given how dangerous the world is thanks to Infinite, they couldn't exactly go looking for him. Tails got incredibly lucky in this scenario.
Whoa, Chaos! Sonic, help me!
Oh, fuck no. Tails, you fought and defeated Chaos 4. The hell are you scared of Chaos Zero for?
Okay, before anyone says anything, I am not defending this scene in the slightest. While I do get what they were going for, the execution was so bad that it made Tails look like a total wimp. What I am sinning is you using Chaos 4 as an example of Tails being strong enough to handle Chaos Zero. I get why, but it doesn't work nearly as well when you realize that Sonic and Knuckles also fought Chaos 4 at the same point in the story as Tails. And as far as we know, there's no evidence saying whether all the characters fought him at once or one specific character fought him and the other fights were just for the sake of it. A better example would have been the Egg Walker at the end of Tails' story, especially since he actively encourages himself to stand up and fight at the start.
From another dimension, aren't you?
What do you mean, aren't you? Look at him. Of course he's the Sonic from another dimension. I thought Classic Sonic was from another time. That's the third fucking time you've done this. Silver, Blaze, and now even fucking Sonic.
I'm also not defending the Classic Sonic retcon because that's equally stupid, but I am going to say this. Silver may have 2 separate continuities, but he's from the future in both. not another dimension. It's who he fights that's different. And Blaze was always from another dimension. 06 was the one who tried to retcon her to be from the future like Silver, but that was completely ignored. Classic is the only one that goes through this.
Give in to your fear. Flee screaming, and I'll let you live.
So, why'd he let us live? We didn't really flee screaming.
Oh, we did. It was just off screen. Infinite's dialogue in the second fight confirms as much.
I remember you. You ran from me before. You survived then, but you throw it all away now.
Wow. The end, huh? Let's see you try something now that I'm free.
Foolish hedgehog. Getting out of your chains does not make you free.
Oh yeah, it does, you idiot. In fact, if you want him to see the end, why would you take off the cuffs? You're just risking him escaping.
Are you serious? The cuffs may be off, but he's still in his cell with the guard in the doorway. You don't call an uncuffed prisoner in a cell a free man, do you? The real sin is that Zavok very likely wasn't the one who uncuffed him, as he would have no reason to, which begs the question of who did uncuff him.
While on the subject, why even restrain his arms? He barely uses his hands for anything. They should have restrained his ankles so that he wouldn't be able to run. Hell, he doesn't even need his arms to roll into a ball.
Hey, genius. That's literally what they did.
So, what's my move? It's not like I can swim out into space.
Hey, Shadow did it.
You jest, but when did he do that? I can only think of Shadow's death in SA2 and a couple instances in the Dark Path of Shadow, but the former was in his super form and the latter was either teleportation or an illusion by Black Doom. He didn't actually swim out into space.
We'll just grab a shuttle. The one I came in on must be around here somewhere.
Sonic, you've been locked up for 6 months. Why would you ever assume that?
Well, he's in space. He had to get up here somehow. Do I need to finish my sentence?
We can't take out Eggman's home base in Metropolis if he's got a factory supplying him.
No kidding. Look, Sonic, I know you just got back, but we're spread thin.
Really? Because I gotta ask, what the hell is everyone else doing? Rouge is a spy, Amy's a data processor, Knuckles is the commander, and I don't really know what Silver and the Chaotix are doing.
Throughout most of this game, we see, or rather hear, that a lot of their soldiers are fighting all over the globe. It's a similar case here.
Metal Gear Sonic.
Charriii makes a video game reference that isn't a sin of the game cliche.
It doesn't matter now with the lab locked down in Mystic Jungle. Which reminds me, didn't you run into Sonic there after he escaped?
Yes, but he was powerless against me.
We beat the snot out of you, you liar.
Well, you've improved since the last time, but you will still lose. As I predicted, you're not even worth the effort to finish off.
I'm sorry, who was the liar?
Nice moves. But if you hog all the glory, how am I gonna look good?
By doing something. Seriously, Vector, what do you even do?
Didn't you make this point before, when you asked what everyone else does after the Death Egg level?
It's been generations since I seen you.
Oh, brav the fuck oh, Sonic.
Charriii sins upon ya continues to make them cliche. More Charmy hate, huh? In any case, this is clearly an ordinary reaction that happens to be similar to the one in Heroes. That doesn't mean it's plagiarism, especially when it's from the same franchise.
So let me get this straight. The events of episode Shadow happened a month before Eggman took over, and Sonic was missing for about 6 months, right? That's what Espio said, or at least implied. That means no one has seen Shadow in 7 months, right? Cause Rouge was in contact with Shadow and hasn't said shit. So, what the hell has Shadow been doing this past 6 months? Not helping, clearly, but why?
Hey Shadow, Charriii is suggesting that you didn't help out the Resistance in any way during the past 6 months with no reason why. He can't be serious. Of course I had a reason. After Rouge sent me out, my phantom copy showed up on the battlefield, and Sonic and Tails clearly saw what they thought was me working with Eggman. So naturally, they would think I was a traitor and wouldn't think to contact me. As a result, I had to do things on my own until they figured out that the Shadow aiding Eggman wasn't real. It sounds like this person you speak of doesn't think things all the way through. You don't know the half of it.
What's the deal?
Were you legit just about to not do anything about that attack?
So according to Charriii, putting up your arms to block an attack is doing nothing.
Chaos control! Chaos control! Chaos control!
Oh, you are so lucky that you didn't do the 06 video before this one. That said, what is the point of this sin? Just because they look similar? A, there's only so many ways you can do a roundhouse kick. B, it's not plagiarism, it's from the same franchise. And C, who cares as long as it's cool?
Another shadow?
What's so weird about another shadow? There's another Sonic. Not to mention all the shadow android. Holy shit, Sonic never knew there were shadow androids. Think about it. He was never told about it in Heroes, and he never saw any of them in Shadow.
Charriii answers himself, cliche.
Infinite, activate the Phantom Ruby. Make them wish they'd never been born.
Stay calm. What you're seeing isn't real.
It feels pretty real, Knuckles. I mean, we're kind of literally running on a ceiling right now. I don't think this is just original to the character tripping balls.
That's the thing about Infinite's power. It makes them think things that aren't actually happening, and it causes them to get hurt in the process. Granted, the way they go about explaining it is a migraine and a half, but in this instance, gravity isn't actually being flipped all around.
One flip of the Phantom Ruby switch and everything falls apart on us.
The rookie is our only hope now.
Knuckles, please think about what you just said. Your most seasoned forces can't deal with this, and your only hope is a rookie. You are a terrible fucking commander.
They're desperate right now. He can't be a terrible commander if trusting in the rookie, who bear in mind has been more than competent at fighting at this point, is his only option.
I remember you. You ran from me before. You survived then, but you throw it all away now. Kill. This will be goodbye. What?
Okay, here's where I'm gonna bitch about storytelling again, but what's the deal with the Phantom Ruby? Is it one? Is it several? How many are there? In Mania, doesn't Eggman just randomly find it? In Forces, they mention Phantom Ruby prototypes as if Eggman was constructing them. Remember earlier when I asked why Eggman recruited Infinite and the Jackal Squad instead of building his own mercenaries? That's all explained in a comic book. A prequel comic book. Why should I have to consult external media to understand a story? Couldn't you just as easily explain this within the game itself? Episode Shadow practically doesn't explain anything other than the fact that Infinite isn't a robot. If I'm reading a book, I shouldn't have to watch the prequel movie to understand it. There should be a prequel book. That's why movies based on books are called adaptations, because they adapt the original story from the book, usually omitting story elements that you don't need in order to understand the main plot. Sure, sometimes movies get it wrong, but they almost never make the audience ask too many questions since it usually gets explained. I get it, maybe it was a cross-promotion to get people to buy the comic, but it's just poor storytelling of a plot that could have been really, really interesting. Oh, I mean, scene doesn't contain lap dance or whatever.
No need to try to shoehorn that last joke in. It's okay if you want to get real. And in this case, I 100% agree with you. As much as I unapologetically like this game, having most of the story be tied to comics that some people might not even know about, namely me, is bad storytelling, plain and simple. And it seems that Sega still hasn't learned their lesson since they're doing the exact same thing with Frontiers. Hell, even former Sega employee Yuji Naka did this with Balan Wonderworld, only it was a full-blown digital-only novel, and you had to pay $10 for it. Have a sin off.
Classic Sonic's Chemical Plant Zone music is just Survivor's Eye of the Tiger.
Only a couple parts sound similar, and considering that nearly every song ever made uses only 12 notes, it's hardly a problem to find similar sounding music. Unless it's a straight-up ripoff, of course, in which case, go wild.
Hold on a sec, while I access the data from this computer. Okay, failed battle plans, robot designs. Wow, he's got like 10 terabytes of selfies.
I believe in a world where a blue hedgehog can run as fast as the speed of sound, breathe in space, meet his own self from another dimension, and have both those selves turn yellow and float with superpowers given to them by 7 glowing rocks. I do. What I don't believe in is in the fact that Eggman had the time to take enough selfies to fill up 10 terabytes of storage. Do you know how much 10 terabytes are? Around 10,000 gigabytes. That's 10 million megabytes. Let's assume that his selfies are 2 megabytes in size each, on average. That's 5 million selfies. No man can be that vain. The average human lifespan is 27,375 days. That means Eggman had to take at least 183 selfies a day in order to fill up that space, from the day he was born to the day he died. But since he's not dead, he's had to take way more than that. I know Tails was probably being sarcastic, but I did the math just in case. Sonic forces me to math.
Here we go again with that I believe in this thing, but actually I don't stick. You do realize we are talking about Eggman, right? Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik, right? The man who puts egg in the name of 80% of his machines? The man who once built an army of robots that all had his face on each and every one of them? The man who built an entire theme park called Eggman Land? The man who builds and rebuilds a moon-sized battle station with his face plastered across the front? Yeah, he can do 10 terabytes of selfies easy.
Eggman experimented with lots of prototypes, and then incorporated the final version into Infinite. If I'm reading this data correctly, then there might be a weakness.
How so? What you just told us is that Eggman completed the Phantom Ruby. You haven't mentioned anything about a weakness.
He's saying there might be a weakness. He hasn't gone over all the data yet, and as we see later, there is a way to weaken the Phantom Ruby.
I don't like sitting on the bench.
Funny, because that's what you've been doing this entire fucking time.
No, they've been fighting often. The game just doesn't let us see it.
Metal Sonic has been spotted in the city!
Is it another fake? Why would they bother making a fake out of something that already isn't real?
Sonic is right.
Charriii sends something he agrees with cliché.
Based on these readings, the Phantom Ruby requires an incredible amount of energy, which only the Death Egg can provide. We simply stop the energy transfer, and boom! The Phantom Ruby is practically useless.
Simply? Last I checked, the Death Egg is a heavily fortified, well, Death Egg.
Well, to be fair, in the past, all you've needed to do is destroy the Death Egg robot and the Death Egg explodes along with it for some reason. It's been complicated, but never really hard.
Excuse me? Never hard. Last I checked, the Death Egg robot is notorious for its difficulty, so much so that no one can definitively agree whether it's good or bad. Not to mention, your example was only in Sonic 2 and Sonic 4 Episode 1. In Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you had to take out the Giant Egg robot, whose destruction caused enough damage to destroy the Death Egg. And in Sonic 4 Episode 2, you had to destroy the brutal Egg Heart to deactivate the Death Egg. Yeah, in Sonic 4 Episode 2, the Death Egg doesn't explode. It only deactivates. And need I mention how tough Death Egg Zone as a level is? At least in Sonic 3 and K?
No Death Egg means the Phantom Ruby is nearly useless.
Well, you know, it's just crazy enough to work. So, first we need a distraction. I'm on it.
No way, Knuckles. You're too easily distracted. That's not a good trait for a distraction. Plus, you're our commander. We kinda need you here.
For what? Hasn't anyone kind of noticed Knuckles only comes up with plans that result in people either dying or just overall being defeated? As far as we've seen, none of Knuckles' plans have really worked. Look at Operation Big Wave.
That's a straight lie. Operation Big Wave is literally the only plan in this whole game that fails. No commander is going to have a perfect track record, and every other plan Knuckles comes up with in this game is a success. Saying that Knuckles is a bad commander just because of one bad plan is like saying Phase 3 of the MCU was a giant shit show just because Captain Marvel exists.
How about the rookie? Eggman would never expect it. It may even throw him off a little.
Why would sending Original the character throw off Eggman? Hasn't he been briefed on our involvement? If not, why? We've kind of been aiding in his failure.
To Eggman, Original the character is just another soldier that happens to be doing well. And he's never seen them before. Infinite wouldn't tell Eggman about them either because he views them as just another citizen that's beneath him.
You can't let this thing get to the chemical plant. Keep it busy there as long as you can, rookie.
So, what's the deal with the chemical plant? Didn't Eggman build a chemical plant? If so, why is it still around? The Resistance kinda just accepts it even though it's probably one of Eggman's biggest bases of operations.
Isn't it obvious that Eggman rebuilt it as a base of operations? Even if it's not to anyone watching this, the chemical plant houses the data for the Phantom Ruby and the defense system for the Death Egg. It's pretty easy to figure out.
Almost at the chemical plant. How's the rookie doing with the distraction?
So far, so good. We might have to stop using the nickname Rookie if the kid keeps this up.
So, do they not even have our name on file? I know it's because they couldn't plausibly incorporate names into cutscenes, but we kinda stopped being a rookie once we beat Infinite. You know, the guy that no one can beat.
1, you did not beat Infinite. He got back up and whooped your ass. And 2, they don't know that originally the character fought Infinite. Our character doesn't really speak, at least not until the post-credits cutscene, and none of the others seem to acknowledge their fight against Infinite.
Hey, the defense system's still up. I thought we shut it down.
Probably switched over to auxiliary power.
So, I guess you could say the last 2 zones were completely irrelevant. If Classic Sonic still has to deal with the defense systems and no one has a problem with that, why wasn't that Plan A? We went through Green Hill's original to character as a distraction so that modern Sonic could infiltrate the chemical plant and shut down the Death Egg's defense systems, but the defense systems are still up. What was the point?
The point was to hopefully weaken the Death Egg so they could destroy it. Going in gun-ho wasn't Plan A because beforehand, that would have been suicide. So they decided to play it smart and try to weaken the Death Egg. Yeah, it turned out to be in vain, but they wouldn't have known that. Besides, you know you would have sent them for charging into the Death Egg without a plan.
Those resistance pests and their clever little plots. They're like something on your shoe that you can't wipe off.
What the hell is Eggman just doing here out in the open? Doesn't he have the Arsenal Pyramid base still? We never really destroyed it.
Infinite, do it!
Take this.
What is that?
Har, har. That, my spiky little predator, is null space.
Null space?
It's a little something that the Phantom Ruby cooked up.
God damn it, which is it? Did you make the Phantom Ruby or not? If you made it, how does it just do something on its own? Why does it have random rules? The Phantom Ruby just does whatever the f it wants!
Why do you think Infinite is called Infinite? Because he possesses almost infinite power with the Phantom Ruby. And because of that, the Phantom Ruby can get away with doing what it wants. The finalized version we see on Infinite is the one that is capable of harnessing its fullest potential, that being infinite potential. Eggman even said earlier about one of the Phantom Ruby prototypes,
It was a defective model. It could only record the DNA of the one that triggered it. A closed-off space where absolutely nothing exists.
And you found out about this how exactly? I'm assuming experimentation was involved, but how would you know what null space is if you haven't gone in yourself?
How do you know he didn't go in himself? We don't see him experiment with it, so he very well could have gone in himself. And even in the game where not enough is shown, you don't need to see every little thing about everything. It's called suspension of disbelief. Maybe you should get one.
Also, this must be a new development for the Phantom Ruby, otherwise why the f wouldn't this be Plan A? Just get rid of Sonic and the Resistance from the get-go, send them to null space, and you would have been good to rule the world to your leisure. I'm just saying, if I was Eggman, I would have won.
I'm tempted to go into a howling fit of laughter at that last sentence, but I'll be nice and not do that. Anyways, Eggman did say that it was something the Phantom Ruby cooked up, which implies that it hadn't happened before, so it must be a new development.
But we destroyed the Phantom Ruby's power source.
Tisk, tisk. Since you always destroy the power source of my weapons, I decided to learn from my mistakes.
Only took you 26 years.
Better late than never, otherwise you get Bowser and his dumbass bridges. Eggman learning is always a good thing.
But when the battle ends, we'll have to part with Sonic. I mean, this Sonic, won't we?
Which is sad. Why? This is exactly what happened last time, too. And he came back. This isn't inherently worrisome at all.
They didn't expect him to come back the first time. They just said goodbye. Heck, the 3DS version even has their goodbye be a bit more bittersweet. Classic is a friend to them, and saying goodbye to a friend with the strong possibility of never seeing them again is always sad.
Hey, Infinite! Long time no see.
Charriii sends the series' most prominent line cliche.
Whoa, you gotta be kidding. That's just a special effect, right?
No, it's not. While we're under the Phantom Ruby's control, it's a part of our reality.
Which is it? Is it an illusion or is it reality? There's no point in calling the Phantom Ruby's effects illusions if they make real things.
Okay, you made this point before. You know, the one where you got all cross-eyed towards the end? Jeez, I know the Phantom Ruby's powers are confusing, but you don't need to bring it up again and again when it doesn't apply.
The sun will fall upon you all. Boom. The end.
You realize it's gonna fall on you too, right? You're just kinda hanging around here for no reason while Infinite makes the sun fall.
Infinite is in complete control of everything he creates, and because of that, he can control the sun to only hurt the Resistance and not Eggman. It's the same reason the Phantom copies didn't attack Tails at the start, even though he was right next to them, because Infinite was focusing them on Sonic.
Also, discount Majora's Mask. You know, just instead of the moon, it's the sun.
Only at a base level, 3 days until a celestial object destroys the planet, sure, but Majora's Mask and Sonic Forces were still fundamentally different games and stories outside of that. Plus, the threat of the moon crashing was ever present, while the sun crashing just shows up.
Look, it's reacting. Eggman said something about the Phantom Ruby prototypes. Let me see. Whoa, it is! He said the Phantom Ruby prototypes only react to the person who activated it. That must be you, buddy. Your courage and heroism are probably what triggered it.
So, theoretically, Sonic could have activated it as well? Isn't his whole thing that he's courageous and heroic? What makes us so special?
Theoretically, Sonic could probably have activated it too, but what makes Original the character so special is their growth as a character throughout this game. They start out scared and weak, grow stronger and more confident as the game goes on, and eventually team up to fight alongside the Sonics. It's this growth into a hero that triggered the Phantom Ruby, just like Tails said.
3, 2, 1, 0!
Eggman. Let me level with you right quick.
No, actually, let me level with you real quick. Compared to several other videos I've covered, this video is pretty good. But you know what? It'd be a whole lot better if you didn't constantly repeat your points. This is like the 3rd or 4th time you've done so when you really didn't need to, since there's so much more you can complain about regarding this game. You could have complained about the absolute ear rape that is classic Sonic's music, or the levels being far too short. But no, you'd rather waste your breath with the same points you made before, some of which were actually pretty good points before bringing them up again, when again, they don't apply.
Impossible! I thought all the prototypes were destroyed!
See, the word prototype leads me to believe that Eggman created the Phantom Rubies, right? If so, why wouldn't you own all the Phantom Ruby prototypes? You created them! Why would they be scattered? If a prototype doesn't work, just store it in a place for safekeeping.
That's exactly what Eggman did. The prototypes were all locked up in the Mystic Jungle lab, and he sent Infinite in to collect and destroy them. This prototype ended up in the rookie's hands because Silver managed to knock it out of Infinite's hands during their scuffle.
Impossible. I cannot be defeated.
For someone who can't be defeated, we've defeated you 3 times now.
No, you've only beaten him once. The other times, he got back up and won. Funny how you've continued to ignore that.
Wrong, loser. The things that can't be defeated are heart, soul, and the bonds of friendship.
My friends are my power cliche.
Okay, but is it a poorly used cliche? One thing you, and frankly every CinemaSins clone needs to learn is that cliches aren't inherently bad, because in this day and age, almost every story that can be told has been told. So that's why the execution is what matters when it comes to implementing a cliche. Granted, if the story is too cliche, then by all means sin it, but the bond between Sonic and the Rookie is actually one of the better things in this game.
No, wait. I can still fight.
And that was Infinite, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm serious. We never see him again. Sonic lost to him the first time because he had his phantom copies of Shadow, Chaos, Metal Sonic, and Zavok. Why didn't he try that again? Huh. Even Infinite's friends are his power.
You're aware he's been controlling an entire army while fighting Sonic, yes? I know this game is a very tell-don't-show mindset, but regardless of that, Infinite can't focus his copies on an entire army in one place, and Sonic and the Rookie in another.
The fortress reactor was just a decoy!
Oh my god, how many times are they gonna try to pull the rug out from under us?
Let's see, there was the first time of the backup power source for the Phantom Ruby, and now there's this one with the decoy reactor at the final boss. So if my math is correct, they try to pull the rug out literally only 2 f***ing times!
What have you done?
I merely incorporated the Phantom Ruby into this Death Egg robot.
But that means the Phantom Ruby no longer has a vulnerable energy supply.
How and why? There's always been a way to weaken it. Wasn't Eggman all intimidated when we blew up the Death Egg?
I wouldn't say he was intimidated, more like irritated. Regardless, Eggman has somehow turned the Phantom Ruby into its own power source. They can't disable any power source because it no longer has a power source.
Okay, I need to bring attention to this. Look at the phases of the Death Egg robot. Classic Sonic is hitting back the rocks that Eggman's throwing at him in order to break his shield, just like in the Egg Dragoon fight, by the way. And Original, the character is using the grappling hook they have to attack the robot's cockpit. Now, I don't claim to be a Sonic the Hedgehog expert, but I'm pretty sure that if Classic Sonic can just use a spin attack to return the rocks back at the robot, a homing attack is probably way more effective. And if all we're doing during the Original the character section is attacking the cockpit with the equivalent of the homing attack, Why doesn't Modern Sonic handle all of this? Even the boost section at the end, are you telling me Modern Sonic can't handle 3 different targets? There's no reason Classic and Original the character need to be here.
There is a story reason for it, and that is the Death Egg robot is too powerful for one person to take on. Think about it. Infinite was never truly beaten until Sonic and the Rookie teamed up and combined their strength. Eggman says that he has surpassed Infinite's power, so it would take more than just Sonic and the Rookie to take him down, which is where Classic comes in. Even if that reason didn't exist, it's Sonic tradition at this point to include all available playstyles for the climax of the game, whether via one big final level, multiple final levels, or the final boss itself. And if they don't include every playstyle, there's usually a story reason tied to it. In fact, looking at Adventure 2, do you really think that both Super Sonic and Super Shadow needed to be there, especially when Base Shadow handled the Biolizard just fine on his own? Probably not, but they still fought together because that's the hypest way they can end the game. And it's the same case here, just with a little more reason.
Man, this should have been an emotional moment, but Tails and Classic Sonic barely showed any sort of real friendship. They had more of a chaperone relationship towards each other.
You sure about that? They helped each other quite a bit, and had a couple encouraging talks with each other. Well, Tails did anyway. Sure, there could have been more, but they are still friends to a degree.
Alright guys, it's time we cleaned up the mess that Eggman left this world in. And I'm not talking about those illusions he dreamed up for us. We need to fix the real world we all live in.
Are they really trying to give us the whole "we need to fix the real world" speech? I get it, this series has always been about nature versus technology, but it was never this in-your-face about it.
I'm well aware that Sonic has had statements in the past that can apply to actual people, but I'm almost certain that this wasn't one of them, especially when Sonic is pretty specific in talking about their world.
You did good out there. It's not like you just waited till the last minute to come in and act all cool, saving the day.
Wow, even Rouge is calling out Omega for being a Deus Ex. Wait a second, was Omega supposed to be a literal Deus Ex Machina? That was a pretty shitty execution if that's the case. All he does is appear, shoot at Infinite, miss, and then nothing. Infinite goes on with what it was doing anyway.
Another misuse of Deus Ex Machina, and this time you even acknowledge that it doesn't work. I highly doubt Omega was meant to fix the immediate problem. The real sin is, what was the actual point of him showing up for the final battle if he wasn't going to do anything?
Our battle is done, and our resistance has come to a conclusion. But we'll be friends forever. A single person cannot restore the entire world. We have to work together and make a diligent effort.
I don't know what's sadder. The fact that they're drilling in the whole "we have to fix up the Earth together" thing, or the fact that they have to keep drilling it in because we as a species just don't listen.
Again, this doesn't apply to us. Yeah, fixing the world is a real issue, but they're very specific about their world. There's nothing meta about this.
You and I aren't so different.
I'm pretty sure that was Sonic Team's way of telling you that your OC is just a Sonic copycat. You cut deep, Sonic Team. You cut deep.
That's obviously not what they meant. Sonic is saying that he and the Rookie are kindred spirits in a way. The second part may have been a joke, but you're still trying to make a point here. By the way, that joke was terrible. Don't at me. Tony Sonic here. Thanks for watching the video, and as always, I hope you enjoyed this a lot. Yep, I'm in my closet. I told you all when I shared that post that I'd be camping in the closet until Frontiers came out, and that's exactly what I'm doing. It's quite comfy in here, honestly, and I even got DT cooking my meals and surfing the web for me.
Speaking of which, how do you want your steak cooked?
Medium rare. In any case, Sonic Forces is an interesting game. There is a lot of missed potential in virtually every bit of it. It's with boring level design and a confusing story, and overall just an underwhelming product in an objective sense. However, in a personal sense, I really like this game. In fact, it's one of my favorites. I know a lot of Forces haters are going to hate me for saying that, but I don't care. I still enjoy my time with this game. And I'm allowed to like something, you know. Don't be all salty in the comments. Consider this a very guilty pleasure of mine. In any case, since this video is probably going to release around the time Forces came out, or maybe even a little after, depending on how things go in my life, the TSR video may or may not come first, but since Frontiers is supposedly very long, it's probably the TSR video is probably going to come first. But hey, if I finish Frontiers in a timely manner, the review might come out before that. We'll see when the time comes. Speaking of which, I think I'll be playing TSR by the time until Frontiers comes out. I ain't coming out of this closet until that game comes out. You can bet on that. See you in the next video, whether it be the Frontiers review or the TSR video.